Hello, welcome to my channel, Inflightmuzik. My name is Ian, and today I just want to go over the different ways that I create bounce with my drums and just my overall tracks. So recently I started a 30-day beat challenge, and this was what I did on day 2, and I got a lot of compliments on the bounce.
You got no bounce, nigga. You got no bounce, nigga. You ain't got no bounce, nigga. The bounce coming up.
Okay, so everything that you heard there is basically, in terms of the bounce, is basically just based off of the snare. So right here, I just have a layered snare. So it's a basic snare pattern, nothing special. So by starting out with laying down your snare and keeping it really basic like that, it's going to leave you a lot more room to add other elements, which is exactly what you do. The first mistake that I see a lot of people make is by adding way too many snare hits on their main snare. If you want to immediately create bounce, take those extra hits off of that snare pattern and throw them on a different percussive element, like a ghost snare, which is typically a shorter sounding snare in a different pitch, and that's going to already create a lot more bounce because you're going to hear two different sounds playing off of each other. And then don't go crazy on your ghost snares either. Take some of those ghost hits and put them on an even lighter snare or a rim. So I did that exact thing right here. So you can listen to how this ghost snare is actually playing off of the original snare. And then if we add in the rim, it's a higher percussive element, playing with a lower and a medium sounding percussive element. And like I said, you'll notice that these are different lengths, literally different wavelengths. So we have a longer sounding snare, a shorter sounding ghost snare, and then an even shorter sounding rim, which is what you would hear in real life. So by doing all of that first, then when you add in your hi-hats, it'll keep you from going absolutely nuts on your hi-hats. So you'll see that this hi-hat pattern isn't anything crazy. It's basically a straight pattern with a few rolls here and there. But there's some special things that I do with those rolls and the other elements in the hi-hat that make this sound a lot more special than what it is. So you'll notice first that all of these different pitches that I have in my hi-hat, they are all within the key of my track. So first things first, when you're adding percussive elements, make sure that they're in the key of your track. So don't just add drum hits just to add drum hits. You want them to actually sound like they're from a kit that actually belongs in your song. And the key to that is just by playing in key. So already you could tell that these hi-hat rolls basically come in right before or right after the snare hits. So again, just by having those snares in place, you could hear where these rolls really belong. So another thing that I did with these rolls, you'll notice that down here in the control panel, I have the velocity set to where it leads up into the roll. So it's not just a straight roll, but I also do have some straight rolls without velocity. So I'm not doing this every single time. That way you don't start boring the listener with extra stuff or making the listener just go a little too crazy by hearing so many different variations. Another thing that I did when you go to note panning, so these rolls, again, they're not just straight rolls. I have panning going on with the rolls. So this has velocity and panning. This one had no velocity, but had some panning to it. Here's just a lower pitched snare hit, and that one has some panning on it, but no velocity change. So you want to vary what you're doing in each section, but you don't want to have a lot of different sections. You count this as 8 different sections, but each section is pretty simple. And again, by having all those ghost notes, you're going to hear where you could add those extra hi-hat hits. Normally, if you don't have those ghost notes and the rims and your snare laid down, you're probably going to go a lot crazier with your hi-hats, which is just going to end up being too much. So after my hi-hats, I move on to my ride, and you'll see that the ride has even less changes than the hi-hat, which makes sense because we laid down the hi-hat first. So there's less to do with your rides. I have a ride glide, and that's something that you could do with rides because rides, again, we're varying different lengths of percussive sounds. Rides are longer than a hi-hat. So because they're that much longer, you could actually use glide notes to make your ride glide up or glide down. That's not a normal sound in a drum kit. So it really is like ear candy for a listener, especially in trap music. Another thing that I did here is a ride roll. That makes it so that you have an additional type of roll or a different overall pitch in a roll that normally you wouldn't hear in your hi-hat. Again, they're just all playing off of each other. So that's why you want to do this in this particular order. And then I have this shaker and a tambourine. So the shaker and the tambourine, you'll see that these are just playing straight notes. Nothing crazy, because we already did all the different variations that we needed to with those other patterns. And that's typically what I'll do with a tambourine or a shaker. I'll have these just consistently do the same thing. You'll notice that I don't even have velocity changes in this. You could, if you wanted to, you could hit Control A and Alt R and then use the different levels, change the panning, change the velocity, and just make those random if you wanted to. But I find that if you already have all this bounce going on with all these other elements, you won't need to do that with your shaker and tambourine. Basically, I use the shaker and tambourine as a highlighting feature for the overall drums. When I need just a little more energy that isn't necessarily a different pattern, I just want to bring something special to the drums, that's when I'll throw in the shaker and tambourine. So you'll see that it's here in the chorus, it's here in the pre-chorus, and they start building up as the verse goes along. So that's also why I have this drop off here. I cut out all my percussive elements right here, right before the chorus hits, because it will make all of this that's already playing sound big again. If you find yourself in a situation where you do a build-up and all of a sudden you notice that you're using all of your drum elements, well, drop them out and then bring them all back in again. That's also why I have 3 different bass lines throughout this track. So you'll notice that I have an 808 right here, a synth bass, and then the same synth bass, but it has a different pattern. So let's listen to what this sounds like starting from the 808, which goes into the synth bass and then goes into a different synth bass. And you'll hear what this sounds like with the kick. The kick is as basic as all can be. Because we already had those other elements, the kick is always the very last drum that I add in. By having all that bounce, you'll know exactly where those kick drums need to hit, which will also tell you where your bass bass lines need to hit, because the 808 is basically a copy of your kick, just in pitches. So let's listen to what this sounds like as the buildup happens with the ride, the shaker, and then the tambourine coming in. And then I have a snare roll right here too, which happens where everything drops out, which adds even more anticipation for the big, huge chorus.
The bounce coming up.
Feel that energy just building up. Now we're going to switch the bass. Drop out and switch the bass again. A simple bass to start out the chorus. And then we bring the bouncy bass back in. That just adds a lot more variation to your chorus. Definitely use snare rolls sparingly. You don't want those going throughout the entire beat. You just want those as build-ups for big events. They're in the chorus, which is where you want a lot of hype, and the pre-chorus, and guiding through the intro too. Definitely experiment with switching up your 808s into a synth bass or vice versa, and adding more than one pattern, more than one bass line for one song, because it just adds another option for you to have in terms of arranging a beat. So yeah, if you have any questions, leave me a comment down below, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.